Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Florida Senate. Thank you for taking the time to share this day with us. To Governor DeSantis, I know you have a big day today and look forward to seeing you later this morning. We all look forward to hearing your final State of the State address. I believe there's lots of adjectives that could describe the last 7.5 years in Tallahassee. From my point of view, they've been unpredictable and surprising, energetic and quick, trailblazing and traditional, sometimes a little rough and tumble, but at the end of the day, they've been great for Floridians, and that matters most. Thanks for your strong leadership, valued friendship, and sincere commitment to our free state of Florida. I look forward to working together to finish strong. Speaker Perez, I believe it's fair to say that last session turned out differently than most would have expected. After 15 sessions, I have observed sessions are never predictable and most times not simple. They do seem to always be a consensus building, compromise yielding, labor of love between the House, the governor, and the Senate. This past year, in the end, we completed our mission, and Floridians were well served with the final products. I look forward to working with you and your team again this year to get good things done again. Commissioner Simpson, Wilton, thank you for being here today. Your dependable friendship and durable partnership in the fight for rural Florida and Florida agriculture mean the world to me. I appreciate your dedication to Florida farm families and the communities that surround them, your focus on government efficiency, as well as your heart for stamping out food insecurity in Florida. I've learned this much. There ain't much difference between Trilby and Wauchula. CFO Ngoya, welcome to your first opening day as a member of Florida's cabinet. The taxpayers of our state are well served by your tireless work to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. There's always room for improvement in how we safeguard taxpayer money. Florida's blessed to have you keeping a close eye on their checkbook. I will, however, miss watching you pace the center aisle, arms crossed, with that deeply determined look on your face. Julie, we're glad to see you too. Thanks for being here. Attorney General Uthmeyer, thank you for being here. Thank you for standing on the front lines with Florida's law enforcement community to keep Florida safe and free. In particular, I'm grateful for your dedication, clearly, on issues that impact kids in our state. You're working hard to stay one step ahead of the criminals, the ones that seek to harm our people. Floridians are well served by you. Keep up the great work. Lieutenant Governor Collins, welcome to your first opening day as a member of the executive branch. It's been great to have you back home in the Senate, where it all began for you. I'm going to miss watching you be laser focused here on the floor, taking every issue seriously, being on mission. You should know, I view the term mission differently after our conversations and time together. Thanks for being here. To our Supreme Court justices, it's a real honor to have you here today. Thank you for making the time to be here with us and the incredibly meaningful work you do for Florida. And finally, most importantly, Missy, I can get through it. Hang on. I love you. Thank you for being by my side as my soulmate doing life with me. You're the greatest single blessing I could ever hope for. It's going to be a good day. I made it through. Now, know many of our special guests need to leave at some point to get over to the House, so again, we appreciate you all being here. You know, it's amazing what a difference a year can make. It's not often that 10% of the makeup of the Senate changes between year one and year two of a term. When we came together for opening day 10 months ago, we had just lost Senator Thompson. We all miss Geraldine. You know, she taught me so much in the conversations we had together. She'll always have a special place in our hearts, and we continue to lift up her family in prayer. We're pleased to welcome Senator Bracy Davis. Welcome to your first opening day in the Senate. As we all know, shortly after opening day last year, Senator Fine was elected to Congress. We're pleased to welcome back to the Senate Senator Mayfield, who previously served this body as Majority Leader and Rules Chair. Welcome back, Debbie. And as you know, as previously discussed, this summer, two of our own were appointed by Governor DeSantis to lead our state in the executive branch. And Senator Masulo, yet again, welcome to the Florida Senate. We're so proud to have you here. We also look, go ahead. And we also look forward to welcoming another senator in March. I believe that we can all agree that serving in the Senate is a privilege like none other. We're a bona fide member-driven body. And I hope that each of you feel encouraged and empowered to do the work that you were sent here to do. I'm not king of the Senate. Collaboration and communication are the driving forces here. I'm here to serve Floridians and each of you in my own way, using biblical principles. As we embark on a year of nationwide celebration in honor of America's 250th anniversary, I've been reflecting on our nation's founding and the tremendous blessing, honor, and responsibility that comes with service in the Florida Senate. The early writings of our nation's founders highlight the importance of the Senate. In fact, the authors of the Federalist 63 wrote, "History informs us of no long-lived republic which had not a Senate." They refer to the Senate as the anchor against popular fluctuations, a blend of stability and liberty. In referring to the Senate, Federalist 62 states that no government can be respected without order. In fact, the authors make the case for establishing a Senate to counter the sudden impulses and violent passions of single assemblies. Balance. And of course, we all know the famous legend. Thomas Jefferson, coming home from France, called George Washington to account at the breakfast table for having agreed to a second, and as Jefferson thought, unnecessary legislative chamber. "Why?" asked Washington. "Did you just now pour your coffee into your saucer before drinking?" "To cool it," answered Jefferson. "My throat is not made of brass." "Even so," rejoined Washington, "we pour our legislation into the senatorial saucer to cool it." These writings and anecdotes are a reminder that our duty as senators is much bigger than each of us as individuals. It's bigger than personalities. It's bigger than any one issue or any one session. It's an enduring commitment to the people of this state, a commitment we share with those who've come before us, those who'll follow. As we reflect on the historical role of the Senate in maintaining stability, let me reiterate two wise quotes I believe should govern our thoughts and our actions, and none of this will surprise any of you. Never take down a fence until you know I was put up. Measure 3 times, cut once. We all have something to reflect on here, whether it's in government or in life. Know what you're doing and know why. It takes real work to understand the why. That matters most. Change can many times be a buzzword. I believe our goal as the Senate should be to see clearly where we've been, where we are now, where we want to go, and why. The Senate should measure and ask questions. It might take more time. In fact, it may take a lot more time. But that's the design of our form of government and the role of our Senate. Floridians expect checks and balances, not rash or impulsive decision-making. Data and understanding are always valuable to everyone involved in the conversation. Not just sometimes, but always. Always. Laws and programs can be revised. They can be changed and updated. We could add new laws and we could take old ones away. And in fact, that's what we do every session here in Tallahassee. But the fact is, the laws we make have lasting consequences on Floridians. They have profound and sometimes permanent impacts on families, on businesses, and on our economy. Floridians expect the Senate to have thoughtful deliberations, and they trust we'll try to understand the outcomes and consequences of the decisions we make. They expect us, the Florida Senate, to get things right for the right reasons. As I begin my last session as Senate President, I am renewing my personal focus on a rural renaissance in the state of Florida. With your support, we made great progress last year with the passage of the Senate's Make Citrus Great Again and Farmers Feeding Florida initiatives. Florida citrus is making a comeback, one tree at a time. The current balanced budget included $100 million for large-scale field trials that will combine grove management, therapeutic tools, and disease-resistant varieties in new plantings and rehabilitation of existing groves. It is important to remember citrus has been a pillar of our state since the 1500s and remains a key part of Florida's rural renaissance. Research and new technologies have offered a new hope for the future of citrus in Florida. I'm going to keep my foot on the gas, and Florida citrus will not go down on my watch. Across rural Florida, our families have deep connections to our state and its people. In partnership with Commissioner Simpson, our Farmers Feeding Florida initiative is connecting hungry families with farmers who produce fresh, wholesome food. Much needed hand up for families when it matters most. Linking Florida farmers in rural areas with our urban food bank distribution channels and expanding our food bank and pantry infrastructure statewide enhances rural economies by preventing food waste and supporting farm families who are producing important commodities. In just the first quarter of operations, the Farmers Feeding Florida program has recovered over 4.6 million pounds of fresh Florida-grown food. That's incredible. They've distributed that across the state to families in need. That is biblical. So I'm grateful to the hardworking staff of the Department of Agriculture and Feeding Florida for making this program a huge success. Attacking food insecurity unites Floridians across the political spectrum like nothing else I've ever seen. Everyone I've spoken to about the program supports making sure that children in Florida don't go to bed hungry. It's uniting. It's powerful. It's the right thing to do. It is a biblical calling and a clear and present expression of love as an action. Love for Florida children, love for struggling Florida families, and love for the global brand of what Florida holds true. Everyone who's walking into the president's office in the Capitol sees a sign that says, if you eat, you're involved in agriculture. That sign's intentional. It's there for a couple of reasons. One, it's because that's who I am. Second, because with all the serious, important issues and challenges we face in state government, we can't forget that Florida's agricultural industry is the key to thriving families, businesses, and communities across our state. Florida agriculture matters, and that is a fact. The Sergeant's office has delivered to each of you in your offices a crate of Florida agricultural products from Missy and me. Each item was carefully selected to feature a product grown or produced with the hands of Florida's hardworking farm families. We hope you enjoy it and appreciate all of you so very much. I'm grateful for strong partners in the fight for Florida's rural renaissance. President Trump's administration strongly supports Florida agriculture and Florida's rural renaissance. In fact, I've had an opportunity to discuss with USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins plans to make our legislation a national model for creating a rural renaissance across the entire United States. Importantly, and as a huge part of that effort, I want to thank President Trump for his emphasis on rural health care. Through the one big, beautiful bill, Florida will see a $1 billion investment in rural health care over the next 5 years. That's right, I'll say it again, a $1 billion investment in rural health care over the next 5 years. These are generational investments in our health care infrastructure, a game changer in rural Florida without fail. Yes, sir. You're all aware of the many issues before us this session, and I won't repeat all those here today. However, I would be remiss if I didn't address the reality that affordability is top of mind for many Florida families. Pandemic-era inflation did a number on the national and global economies. The impacts are real. They are felt by Florida families every single day. For my part, we have to be honest with constituents. The ability of the Florida legislature in a 60-day session to influence the price of goods and services within a state economy that is largely driven by national and international economic trends is pretty limited. If we're being honest with people, hands down, the best thing to happen to the pocketbooks of Florida families was the extension of the Trump tax cuts, the one big, beautiful bill. Let's also be clear, if not for President Trump fighting to make many of those tax cuts permanent, people would see less money in their paychecks starting this month. That is a fact. That's not to say that we rest on our laurels here in Florida. We have a strong track record of keeping taxes low, and that will continue. In fact, the vast majority of items needed to raise a family and retire with dignity in Florida are already tax-free. From tax-free grocery store food to diapers, clothes, and supplies for young children, key household safety items, to year-round hurricane preparedness, Florida has been laser-focused on affordability and has taken tremendous steps to keep our state affordable. This year, I look forward to providing voters the opportunity to pass meaningful property tax relief. And again this year, the Florida legislature will pass a balanced budget that holds the line on state spending, pays down debt, cuts taxes, and saves for the future. That's the strong fiscal responsibility that Floridians expect and deserve. And that's the best single thing that we in the legislature can do to keep our state on the right track. As we begin our session, I'll leave you with this question and thought. What are the principles that provide for good government? The answer to that question would vary widely across Florida, even within this very chamber. It depends on each individual's life experiences and perspectives. How many times have each of us heard we do too much of this or too little of that? Another will say the absolute opposite. And there before us is our goal, finding balance. I believe that Floridians are searching for government to be balanced. Yes, efficient and small. Yes, responsive, but not intrusive. Yes, representative of Florida. Balanced. Federalist 62 tells us a good government implies two things. First, fidelity to the object of the government, which is the happiness of the people. And the second, a knowledge of the means by which that objective can be best obtained. It's about Floridians. There's no doubt in my mind that we've all been blessed by this state. Cutting taxes, building responsible, balanced budgets, reducing state debt, saving for the future, making sure that our business climate is great for creating jobs that Floridians need, protecting and expanding personal freedoms, standing with law enforcement, safeguarding our environment, and supporting the most vulnerable among us. I believe that we could all agree that these are the foundational pieces of a successful Florida. These are great goals, and we'll continue to work together for these things this year. But achieving those goals doesn't automatically mean we achieve great state government leadership. There's more to it when you think about the thing that ties us all together: human nature. I personally believe the most important factor in our human element is faith. Our nation was founded on the value of faith and something bigger than ourselves. My personal faith in God is the most important factor in my life. In my personal view, I'm a sinner saved by grace, by the blood of Christ. When I began my tenure as Senate President, I was clear. My First Amendment right of the free exercise of my faith did not suddenly become limited. And I certainly didn't lose it once I was sworn in to lead this chamber. In good faith, I put forward a mission statement for this Senate, something we could all rally around and pull together through. 1 Corinthians 13:13. And then these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Faith, believing in something greater than ourselves. Hope for a better future. Everyone needs hope. Everyone thrives on hope. And love, fundamentally, loving our neighbor as we love ourselves. We should practice love as a verb. We all need love in action. It's our most common link. Our goals this session should be to practice love and joy and peace, patience and kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, because against those things there is no law. This should rise above any form of politics. Additionally, Matthew 5:9 reminds us, blessed are the peacemakers. They will be called children of God. And finally, a verse I work very hard to live out in my daily life, Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Thank you again for the trust and confidence and support that you've placed in me to serve as your president. I look forward to working with each of you this session. I'm blessed by each of you, and I love you all. God bless the Florida Senate.